Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we're going to be talking about 6 things that need to be different in Grand Theft Auto Online 2.0. So there's obviously been no confirmation of a second or a redone version of Grand Theft Auto Online, but I would imagine with the next Grand Theft Auto game that comes out, there's likely going to be another version of Online, given the success we've seen with GTA 5. Now, there was a post the other day on the Grand Theft Auto Online Reddit by a user Left4Daisy1 that's actually inspired me to make this video, and that post was Grand Theft Auto Online 2.0, a reimagining of the fundamental structure of the game. And it basically talks about 6 things that should be different in the next version of Grand Theft Auto Online that would greatly overall improve the game. Now, before he talks about the 6 things, he does state that he is aware that this likely won't happen, and that because the shark card model will reign supreme, future iterations like this will probably be designed around making shark cards the primary goal. However, this is kind of the ideal version for Grand Theft Auto Online. So let's talk about part number 1. So part number 1 is respect is everything. So for example, each mission giver in the game will now be treated like a faction, each with its own respect value. So the amount of respect they have for you is tied to your actions in game. And some of these factions are allied with others, some would be mortal enemies with each other. So for example, Merryweather and Lester do not get along, but Lester and Ron might actually have some common goals. You'll have to decide which and whose friendships are more valuable to you and do tasks that increase their respect for you. Now, I like this for 2 reasons. Number 1, it kind of makes you more responsible for the things you do in-game, which I think is cool. It's kind of like for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That kind of principle applies here too. Now, respect has been a core part of the original GTA games like GTA 2. Some of you guys might not have known this because it's a very old game, but respect was absolutely massive in those older titles. So it would be really cool to see Rockstar actually bring this back in one of the modern GTAs. And I think if this design was pulled off, it would be a fantastic strategy for kind of blending open world design with single player progression, and that would be so cool. So that right there is the first thing on our list today. Respect is everything. Number 2, relationship goals. So to put it simply, no longer will you be able to take every piece of the pie. Working a specific contact will increase your respect rating with them while decreasing your respect with their rivals. So this will have an effect on what benefits and perks you receive from the relationship. For example, do you want Lester's off-the-radar ability, or would you rather have the ability to call for Merryweather services? Lester and Merryweather do not get along, so being friendly with both isn't going to work out. That's a choice you'll have to make, and I like this. This is basically how it is in every other game, whether it's an RPG or whether it's a first-person shooter. With each specific class you choose, you can't obviously have every gun in the game, and in an RPG, you can't be great at everything. You have to be good at one thing or, decent at a couple things, really good at one thing, and I think that would be pretty cool. Having to pick and choose between either what sort of characters you want to get along with, maybe what sort of vehicles you can choose to access in the game, or what sort of businesses you could own. For example, maybe the bikers and the bunkers guys, they don't get along together. So you've got to choose one over the other. I think that goes really well. And that's kind of hand in hand with respect is everything, relationship goals. Okay, number 3, friends with benefits. So the special contact benefits will now be tied directly to your respect rating with that content. So if you've only done a few jobs for Lester, for example, he's not going to want to give you access to some of his more special services. But if you've been working for Lester for a while and have been successfully completing his job, your respect with Lester will be high, and he will give you access to services like Cops Turn Blind Eye or Remove Wanted Level. So in case you guys haven't been following this along, all 3 have essentially been building off of each other. Respect is everything, relationship goals, and then getting those benefits from building relationship goals with those friends. So I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, the better you are with someone, the more access you would get to their high-end services, which could be cool because that could make those services pretty rare, like removing a wanted level or having cops turn a blind eye. Features like that, which are incredibly common and anyone can use, it'd be very interesting to see if only a handful of people had access to those. Very similarly, if you were friends with Merryweather, you got up in the very high ranks with them, you might be able to, call an airstrike on someone where someone might not have the ability to do that, which could be a pretty rare feature and service altogether. So I definitely like that. All right, number 4, balancing benefits. Of course, now that you have to choose who you align yourself with, you're not going to have access to some abilities. If you're friendly with Lester, you're not going to be able to use any of Merryweather's services. The clear choice between the two would be Lester, right? His abilities are far more useful most of the time, so with that in mind, abilities across each faction will be adjusted for balance. It will work more like a rock, paper, scissors type of deal, which I definitely think would work because let's say you got too deep in with Lester, well, then you wouldn't really have any other services other than what he's able to provide. And while Lester has some really cool stuff, he isn't the jack of all trades, end-all, be-all for Grand Theft Auto Online features. So definitely having a balancing act would be nice there. All right, number 5, gaining and losing respect. So there will certainly be standalone missions as always, but along with this is a whole slew of free mode based missions, not unlike the current smugglers, CEO, biker missions that we have today, except that you're working for someone else instead of working for yourself. And here's kind of the twist. So Lester contacts you in free mode to collect documents from Merryweather. You'll gain a certain amount of respect, plus payment of course, for successfully completing your mission. You will lose respect with Merryweather for your actions. Other players who assist you will also gain a small amount of respect from Lester and lose a small amount of respect with Merryweather. Players who interfere will lose respect with Lester and gain respect with Merryweather. So if at any point you want to tell Lester to kick rocks and instead align yourself with Merryweather, you can head out and start interfering with other players who are doing jobs with Lester, thereby decreasing Lester's respect for you while gaining points with Merryweather. Once you've returned your Merryweather respect meter to neutral, you'll be able to take jobs from them again. So I like this. I like the kind of balancing act. It's almost like in certain RPGs where if you do bad things, the people in the world will see you as bad, whether if you're doing good things, the people in the world will see you as good. Except instead of people, it's contacts like Lester or Merryweather. And I like that. It adds more of an RPG element to Grand Theft Auto Online. And it also makes you, like I said earlier, more responsible for your actions. If you want to go up blowing someone's cargo, well, good luck getting a mission from Lester because he's not going to offer it to you because you've been blowing up his cargo jobs. So I definitely like that a lot. All right, number 6 today, multiple personalities. This one's important. So what if you don't want to constantly go through the drag of raising and lowering respect just to experience different play styles? Well, you can have more than one character, and now instead of going through that clunky menu process, you access a different character very similarly to the way you do it in single player, swapping between Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. Your other characters will have independent bank accounts and will be set up in such a way that you cannot use one character to benefit another. These will be entirely individual characters. However, your overall experience points will carry across all characters so that you don't need to unlock weapons multiple times or armor, stuff like that. Now, there's obviously going to be some flaws in this, but it should give players maybe a better sense of direction and purpose in online. Giving all players access to the same stuff at all times, like it is in Grand Theft Auto Online right now, has basically turned lobbies into a chaotic troll fest because currently there's an incentive to destroy all cargo at all times, but there's absolutely no deterrent to do so. But if you give players a reason to reconsider attacking someone, for instance, you're not going to destroy someone's shipment, if doing so is going to reduce Lester's respect for you, there will hopefully be a little bit more complexity to a player's action in free mode than there currently is right now. You might find larger scale battles between factions instead of 30 players all killing each other in chaos. One player might be running a shipment for Lester, only to find 5 players who work with Merryweather attempting to interfere, and then 5 more players who work for Lester who might actually get involved and defend that one player, so on and so forth. Because basically right now, Grand Theft Auto Online is essentially a game where it's all players are enemies and you basically just kill people over and over and over again with no downside. Now, I really like this idea. One of the only sort of flaws I've seen in this is, and this of course is just Rockstar scripting, Lester versus Merryweather in the current state. Lester is required to do heists, and Merryweather are scripted enemies in a few places. So again, they would have to kind of bounce around with something like that, but I still think the idea is amazing. Probably one of the only downsides I could see of this is not having access to certain contacts because a respect meter. That might get a little bit wearing on some players, but that's of course where you have the different characters that you could ultimately jump to. So if you wanted to have access to someone like Merryweather, you could. If you wanted to have access to someone like Lester, you could as well. And I think overall, this idea would add more depth to online right now, which is exactly what it needs, because right now Grand Theft Auto Online is pretty linear. The different free mode work options would open it up, and it would be really cool. It would feel like the goal in online is to grow to the point where everyone is battling for your respect. And then maybe you could add people like Agent 14 and Ron that are trying to get to you, asking you for your funds in their own lines of work. I think it would be pretty cool to ultimately build up a system like this that would be pretty unique and not necessarily so focused around just who can I kill in the quickest way. And of course, you could add other factions into this too, like the Ballas and the Grove Street families. They could have access to, let's say, a bunch of weapons or vehicles. There's so many different things you could do here. There's so many different factions and gangs in online that you could really make for just an overall unbelievable world. In fact, I think there's like 11 total gangs in online. So just if you wanted to go by the gangs in GTA Online, you could have 11 different play styles for players to choose from to ultimately get a feel of who they want to be. And then, of course, you could add in all the single-player characters as well, Lester, Lamar, Agent 14, Ron, Trevor, etc., to have a really nice balance too. So once again, I will leave that article in the description. I definitely think it's very interesting, but those are 6 things that I'd like to see different in Grand Theft Auto Online 2.0, sort of a reimagining of the fundamental structure of the game. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below about this idea. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.